Bonjour, friends, family, and people who just found me on the interwebs. Welcome to my vlog. I want to apologize because last 2 weeks vlog was very late. I'm really sorry. Procrastination at its best. What happened was I was on vacation, and you would know if you watched that other vlog. And on vacation, I was lazy, and I didn't want to edit the video. So I had it done, but I didn't edit it. But now it's done, now it's out there, and now here is our next vlog. You'll notice I am in a different room than I usually do. We have these nice Christmas-themed blankets for the new holiday season. Anyway, I am very excited about Christmas, especially because here in Laval, it's kind of known for its Christmas lights. So all over town, they're putting up all these lights across the main bridge, down these streets, across the river. In the center of the town, there's these big light structures. And because they don't celebrate Thanksgiving here, everything is Christmas. And so I am very much in the holiday mood here. Anyway, let's jump and jive into vlog number 5. Still got the rhyming down.
Oh, let's get rich and buy our parents' homes in the south of France. Let's get rich and give everybody nice sweaters and teach them how to dance. Let's get rich and build.
When I left you last time, I was off to Rennes. So Rennes is a city about 45 minutes away from Laval, and it's a decent size. It has about 200,000 people. And so my host brother goes to university there, as I said last time. So we went to Rennes at about 4 o'clock, which was really cool. And we just walked around this big park with my host sister and my host dad and saw this cool church and just walked around the streets a little, which even just being there for a few minutes, I really, really liked the city. It was really cool. We went to my host brother's apartment, which was a really cool apartment that looked over the city, and it had like a bedroom and a dining room and a kitchen and a bathroom, and it's like the perfect apartment. Like because I want to live in New York, and so if I ever get an apartment, I want it to be like that, and it looks out over the city. It was really cool. And then we went to dinner, which was really cool because we just got to, I say really cool a lot, new word choice, which was really swell, to just see the town at night. And we went to this fancy restaurant. At night, I didn't even sleep in Rennes. We were just there from like 4 until 10. And then at 10, I left with my host mom and my host dad and my host brother and host sister stayed in Rennes. And I went with my host mom and host dad, and I slept at my family's country house, which was fine. It was good. I just slept there, and I woke up early and came back to Laval, and I went back to sleep because I am a sleeper. But at noon, I talk about the 2 times that I've talked about us going on Rotary trips. I've talked about the 5 kids who kind of live near each other. So there's 3 of us in Laval and 2 in Château-Gontier, which is about 30 minutes away. And so one of the kids in Château-Gontier is from Gontier. It's from Canada. And actually Canada, like right above Montana, so that's kind of cool. And he and we are friends, and so he decided to come to Laval one day, and so the day after I went to Rennes, I was with him, and we just had like the best day. It was just a really awesome day. We just like toured Laval a lot. I showed him this really cool park that I know, and we went into the Chateau de Laval, which is the big castle in Laval, which I hadn't been in yet. And we went shopping, and we ate food, and we just had some heart-to-heart combos, and it was just a really great day. And then we had a bit of a mix-up because with Rotary, it's a bit rough because they are very strict on the rules, as I've talked about, and they don't want you traveling alone. And even for him to come to from Château-Gontier to Laval, which is a 30-minute bus ride, Rotary isn't sure about it. They're not sure if they want to let us go. Anyway, they let him come, and they trusted him to travel alone, and everything, he got there fine. We met up, we had a great day, and it was time for him to go. We were waiting at where the bus picked him up, And then we saw the bus driving away, which is a bummer because it was the last bus of the day. There was no more after that. And so Colby started running down the street trying to catch this bus because, I don't know, it just didn't stop where we thought it would stop. And he was almost at the bus because it had stopped at a stop sign to let people off, and he was running and he was almost there, and then it was just like boom, and off it went. So we had an awkward situation because Colby was stuck in Laval, so we went back to my house, and it was really rough because Colby's mom was very upset because she had an exchange student before him who would do things like this on purpose so that he could spend more time, maybe party, I don't know. So obviously we didn't do this on purpose, but it was really rough because his mom was pretty upset, and then getting my host mom in it, she wasn't upset. But what happened was Colby's host mom was upset, and she, like, I guess took it out on my host mom. I don't really know what happened, but Colby ended up getting home okay. His family came and met us outside Laval and picked him up, and it now is a good story. So that's fun. So the next day, Thursday, I just slept in really late and hung out, and then Thursday evening, I drove with my mom, my host mom, to my host grandparents' house, her parents' house, which is about 3 hours away from Laval in this little town called Romorantin, and I just hung out there for the weekend, which was pretty cool. It's like this big old French country house, like all the places I go to are, and it's right in this area where there's a ton of castles. So when we got there, there was a lot of my host mom's family, her brother and his wife and his daughter and his daughter's boyfriend, and that's the family that I stayed with in Paris on the houseboat, if you remember that story. And then my host mom's other brother was there with his wife and son, and my host grandparents were there as well. So it was a big family get together, and it was just really fun to hang out with them. And during the days, we went to a car museum. We went and saw this really cool castle called Chambord. We slept, we hung out, we went to a porcelain museum, and we just hung out around these little towns, and it was a nice time to be there. I did get a little homesick there just because, I've just been going and going and going and going, doing a bunch of different things, going to school, hanging out with friends, going on road trips, going on trips with my parents. And here there was just like, we just didn't do a ton. Like, we just hung out at this house. Just, when you're not doing a lot, your mind starts to wander and you start thinking about home and all that. So I had a bit of a meltdown one night, which was a little bit rough, but I talked to my mom back home for like 2 hours, and I felt a lot better. So that was good. And so we came back Sunday night and just hung out here Sunday night. Oh, and on Sunday, when I was driving home, I also went to another castle with my host dad called Chinoso, and that was really cool. So we just stayed here Sunday night, and then Monday morning, my host family took me to a gym because they are like, you are lazy, you need to start working. And so I took a flash abdos class, and hasn't really done much. I did a 15-minute class, and I'm still not seeing my abs come in. I want a refund. But I ended up getting an inscription to this gym, which was really heckin' expensive. But I don't know, I just, like, they were asking me a lot of questions in French, like, did I want it, and what, blah, 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 and I got overwhelmed. I was like, here's my money, just give me the inscription. So I will be going to a gym from now on, which actually I'll be heading out in, like, 20 minutes to go to another flash abdos class and a Zumba class. Zoom, 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 Zumba. Zoom, 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 Zumba. Anyway, afternoon, after the gym and eating lunch, I went to the country house of my family, and I built a fence with my host dad and my host brother, which was exciting. I guess I'd never built a fence before, so that's a new thing. But here's the thing. I'm going to give a little piece of advice right now. If someone's watching this and they're going to go on exchange or on exchange at the moment, a lot of times people will tell you stuff and they'll be like, do you understand? And at first you say no, like, please, can you repeat? And they'll repeat it again. And in the beginning, you'll usually just say, yeah, please repeat until you understand. But after a while, you start feeling bad about saying, can you please repeat because I don't understand, which you shouldn't because you're learning the language, so it's okay, but I felt kind of bad. And so I get into this habit of when people just say something and they're like, did you understand? I say yes, even if I don't understand, which is not a good habit to get into, but I'm in that habit. And so I guess my host dad told me that the wood had a ton of chemicals on it and to be careful because it would burn your skin or your eyes or whatever. But I didn't understand that. I didn't even know anything about that. And I guess I said yes when he asked me if I understood. So about halfway through building the fence, my eyes started burning like crazy, like so bad. And I was like, I could barely see out of them. They were stinging so bad. And I like went in and I like washed them out with water and I was like, what is going on? And then like I got a towel and I brought it out and I was putting it up to my eyes and my host dad was like, what's going on? And I was like, my eyes are just like really stinging. And he's like, you touched the wood, didn't you? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, and you touched your eyes. And I was like, yeah. I was like, yeah. And he was like, did you not understand when I told you don't heckin' do that because your eyes are going to sting because there's so many chemicals on this wood? And I was like, no. And so my eyes were stinging. And then we were trying to build this fence. And my eyes were stinging. And I couldn't really see. And I was trying to hold this wood up. And pieces of wood, as my host dad was drilling them in, were like flicking and falling into my eyes, making them sting more. And I got a cut on my hand from the wood, and I was just, like, dying. And then my host dad was like, you know, you really need to work on your work ethic. And I was like, please, I'm dying here. So, that's a funny story. Then, Monday night, I went back to Paris with my host mom and my host sister. And we stayed in their apartment, which is this really beautiful apartment that is kind of on the outskirts of Paris, but, like, really nice apartment. And so we got to stay there. The next morning, we woke up not too early, and we had a day in Paris, which was fun. So what did we do? We went and saw the Eiffel Tower from afar because there was, like, the longest line ever, and my host family was like, yeah, we're not doing that. You can go with Rotary, because, obviously, Rotary will take us back to Paris. But went and saw Notre Dame, which was really cool because I've heard a lot about it and I like the movie. Hunchback of Notre Dame, and so it was really cool to see that, and we got to hear a little bit of the bells. And again, to get in was way too long of a line, so we didn't do that. And then me and my host sister went to a chocolate museum, which was cool to see how chocolate is made. And then we went to lunch at this restaurant called Paul, and I don't know how known it is. I mean, I think it's kind of known. And then we went to this big, like, world chocolates thing. It was like all these people who made different chocolates from around the world were in this place in Paris, and they were all like selling their chocolate, and it was like a competition, and it was really cool. And we got to eat a lot of chocolate and see all these different vendors, but it was a little overwhelming, and it was kind of funny because, you know, we were going from vendor to vendor getting chocolate and seeing what they were having, and it was on Tuesday, October 31st, which was Halloween, so I was like, hey, it's like my French version of trick-or-treating. Then that night, my host mom had a few friends over, and we just had a good dinner and hung out, and then went to sleep kind of early, so that was nice. It wasn't a super exciting Halloween, but it was really cool to be in Paris. I mean, it was really exciting because I was in Paris, but I mean, we didn't do anything crazy at night. Anyway, Wednesday, I got up pretty early, and we dropped my host sister and Gigi, who I've talked about before. She's a friend of the family. We dropped them off at the airport in Paris because they were going to Italy for the 5 days, because my host sister went to Italy last year on exchange, so she was going back to see her friends and family. And then my host mom and me went back to Laval, and I got to Laval thinking I was gonna have another day there, and nope, we stayed there for about 5 minutes, and then we were off again. And I went to my other host grandparents' house on my host dad's side, which is about 30 minutes away from Laval, and it's this giant castle, so that's cool. And there was this huge hunting party, and so November 1st, which was the day, is All Saints Day in France, which you learn about. And I mean, nobody said anything to me, but there was all these people at my host grandma's house, and they were all there for this big hunting party. And so I don't know if it was for All Saints Day or not, if that had any relation, but it was quite the day. They were hunting wild boars. So I was in this French forest hunting wild boars, which was a little rough for me because I'm not a huge hunter. And also that day, my phone heckin' cracked. It was kind of a rough day, but I got to see a wild boar. 1 alive, 6 dead. They caught 6. And a shit ton of hunting dogs. It was just kind of a weird experience. It was cool and a little bit frightening. And again, I didn't shoot a gun or anything, and then at the end of the day, they did this really weird thing where this one guy, who I guess shot a wild boar, was painted in the boar's blood, and then they had him drink the boar's blood with some liquor. It was a strange ritual, but it was cool to see, I guess. I felt a little sick to my stomach seeing the dead boars there, but I can't really say that because I like hot dogs and I like meat, so guess you gotta see how the sausage is made sometimes, but not a huge fan of hunting still. Not a fan, but up for new experiences, right? So then on to that night, Wednesday night, I stayed again at the country house of my family, and then Thursday morning I got up kind of early, and my host mom took me back to Laval, and they had a little surprise for me as a late birthday present, and I got to take a cooking class, which was super fun, and I just did it. It was me, this random couple, and this random old guy, and our cooking instructor, and we didn't make traditional French cuisine, but it was still really fun because I really like to cook, and it was just a really cool experience, and I really, really enjoyed it, and so I was really grateful for that. And then, so Thursday, I had this whole plan for the weekend, to go with Maka. I would stay at her house one night, and then we were going to go to Vennes, and Vennes is a city about 2.5 hours away from Laval, and we were going to take the train there, and there's about 6 Rotary kids who live around that area, and there was about, I don't know, maybe 6 of us trying to go to Vennes from other places, and so it would have been 12 of us, and we were going to have a late Halloween party, and we were going to go laser tagging in costumes, and then maybe go to a discoteca, which is the European clubs, and dance and have fun for the night. But unfortunately, what happened was Maka and I had been planning this for 3 weeks, and we had talked to our host families and our YEOs, our youth exchange operators, and we had it all planned out, and it was the day before we were going to leave, and unfortunately what happened is Colby from Canada and Gala, who's also in Chateau Gontier from Mexico, they really wanted to come as well, and we wanted them to come, and so we told them, we just asked our YEOs, you should do the same, and so they asked their YEO, but unfortunately, Rotary rules say you're not allowed to travel alone which was our plan, until March. And the thing is, I knew that rule, but I was also thinking it wasn't, like, super strict. Like, if we got our permission from our host families, our real families, all that, like, it would be okay to go. If we had a good reason, and we weren't alone, like, we would go together as exchange students. But what happened is the YO of Colby and Gala did not agree with our YOs in letting us go, so he emailed the heads of the district and was like, this is not okay, they're not allowed to go. And so our trip was unfortunately canceled. So that was a real bummer, and we were pretty upset about that because we were looking forward to it. But the weekend was not horrible. I went back to Romorantin, which is the town of my host grandparents, and I just hung out, and I painted, and I watched TV, and I played music, and I helped with yard work with my host grandpa and my host mom and my host brother. And I just kind of had a chill weekend before school started again. So, yeah, and it was a nice weekend. Not as exciting as it would have been if I gone to Venn, but still, it was a nice weekend. And so then I started school again on Monday, and it's now Tuesday. And it's been really nice being back at school. I've had 2 really good days. It was just, it was really good to see my friends and see all them again and just getting back into a routine. And I'm really excited to see what this month is bringing us, or is bringing me, because I don't know what's going to happen and what the plan is. Just going with the flow. So updates from school. I took my first exam today, which I am very proud of myself. The teachers had been kind of avoiding me taking exams. But today my teacher handed me an exam. And I sat there for about half an hour expecting her to come over and be like, oh, you don't have to take it. And then in the last 20 minutes of class, I was like, well, it doesn't look like she's going to do that, so let's try. So I read through it all, and I understood all the questions, but the problem was I had no idea what the answers were, because it was all based on the readings and the lectures we had done, like, before the vacation, which I didn't understand any of. So I answered 3 out of the 20 questions on the test before the time ran out. And my teacher was very proud of me. She's like, thank you so much for trying. Like, I really see your effort. You're improving. And I just felt really good about it. So, high five myself. Anyway, again, ramble, a jamble for 20 minutes. But there's a rundown of my vacation. As always, I like to do other things than just talk about events. I know, I'm talking a lot, but I would like to talk about French food. I talk about this a lot because food is good. I have a few topics I want to bring up. First of all, cheese. So, the first month here, I ate a lot of cheese. Let me rephrase that. I'm sorry, I think I got a tickle in my throat. The first month here, I was offered a lot of cheese. And my philosophy is I'm here, so I'll try it all. And so I ate this cheese. And a lot of the time, I didn't love it. Like, it was okay. It was just, it wasn't like, oh my god, this is the best. But I think my taste buds have adjusted, because now French cheese is the best food I've ever eaten. Best food. It's so good. Like, I love cheese so much. It's so good. You know what else is so good? French desserts. Any French dessert. I have a question, though. How do they make them so crumbly? How do they do it? They just, like, are so light, and they just crumble in your hands, and it's just so precious and delicious. It's so good. So good. Also, I've been eating more salads, which was really, really great because I missed salads a lot. I don't know if I said this in my last vlog when I was talking about things I missed, but I really just missed my family salads that we had with dinner, and now I've been eating more salads. They're not exactly the same, but they're still salad, and I'm really happy about that. Now, here's the thing. So, I'm not sure if I've gained weight. I probably have, because I've been eating a lot of cheese and a lot of desserts. But sometimes I'll be eating dinner, and I'll just finish my meal, and I'll think back, and I'll think, okay, so we had some meat, we had some steamed vegetables, and we had maybe some salad. And I'm like, okay, how would I gain weight from that diet? If I'm eating that every night, like, that's not bad at all. Like, it's some protein, some vegetables with no calories, and some other vegetables with maybe a few more calories because dressing, but still they don't put on that much dressing. And then I look down at my plate, and I see the little tiny crumbs of the bread that once was. And I think back to the meal, and remember that how many times they passed around that damn bread basket, and realize I probably, throughout this meal, ate 10 pieces of bread. I know I've already talked about the bread, but ding, 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 there's where you're getting the weight. Ha! So, I guess I'll have to try to eat less bread. This week, the title of this vlog is dealing with the ups and downs. So, going on exchange is a really cool experience, but it's also a microscope in turning 1 year into an entire life. And through an entire life, you go through a lot of ups and downs in your life. Some days are good, some days are bad, some years are good, some years are bad, some months are good, some months are bad, weeks, bad, good, all of that. But the thing with exchange is you're experiencing all this, and it's also raw, and it's also new, which also makes your emotions really raw. And so it makes life a bit rough. It's like a lot of waves. Some days you're up here, the next you're down here, the next you're here, and then you're up and down and up and down. And it's just dealing with the moments from going from the best day ever to being super homesick and not wanting to be here. And just learning to ride the waves and just welcoming all these emotions that come and not hating any of it, but loving it for what it is. My mom sent me this poem the other day when I was talking to her about dealing with those ups and downs, and it was just talking about how we just need to welcome all these emotions, even the bad ones, even the sad ones. They're not bad emotions, they're just different, and we just need to accept them and feel them. And so being on exchange is just learning to really live with your emotions and live with the great days and the bad days and just ride the waves. My friend Grace, she went to Belgium last year. And I talked to her quite a bit throughout her year, and the thing that stuck with me the most from what she said exchange is like a mosaic of all these emotions and experiences, and some are bad, and some are good, and it's just all these little things that get put into your year. And even though you have this one bad piece to your mosaic, this horrible day, or this horrible feeling, or a bad experience, when you take a step back and you look at the whole mosaic of your exchange year, it's completely beautiful. So, I think I'll leave that. Darkness, I'm gonna get a flashlight on and ride my bike to the gym and do some Zumba and some flash abdos. Thank you for listening. That one was extra long because I guess I had more to say. I always expect them to be shorter than they are, and then I look in and I'm like 20 minutes into talking, and I'm like, how did I get here? Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I hope you eat cheese and bread. I hope you have a good salad as well. Everyone needs a good salad in their life. I hope you giggle, because giggling is a good feeling. And I hope you get a hug from your mom, or your dad, or your son, or your daughter, because hugs are important. and just be happy with what comes in your life. And as the French say, la vie